It's that time again. Time for the Steam Summer Sale. 2020 version. This is the Justin side of the picks. There will obviously be links to Darren's picks, but let's get into mine. Before we begin, I do want to say that obviously I'm pre-recording this to try and get it out just before or just as the Steam sale actually starts. With that in mind, I don't know the actual sale prices. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the historic low and hope, fingers crossed that that's what we're going to get. But if not, then I'm going to go through and kind of update the prices once the sale actually happens, either in the show notes or in the comments below. This year has not really been the best year for a lot of people, and I think more than ever we're kind of counting on a good sale to help us to get out virtually if we can't get out in real life. So I've basically got 3 sections that I'm going to be talking about. The main section are games that are kind of time intensive, but also a kind of theme of trying to break out of captivity. There is a list of games that are kind of good for co-op, especially now that Steam has introduced remote play together. And as always, for those of you that run out of money or really don't have money to spend to begin with, I've got a decent list of some free games that I've been playing lately that are all kind of, I think, interesting experiences, different, and worth your time. So let's get into the first section. Let's talk about games in the first section that are kind of getting out. I was lucky enough earlier this year to be taken to a VR room where I was able to experience virtual reality, and I played a few games. Actually, I played a variety of games, but the 3 ones that I enjoyed the most were all kind of shooting games. There is Space Pirate Trainer, which is $7.50 historic low. Pistol Whip, which is, I think right now it's historic low of about $25 on Steam. Pistol Whip is a fun rhythm shooting game where it pushes you through and you shoot your way through. But the one that I really liked was Super Hot VR. No surprise because I'm a big fan of the regular game, but Super Hot VR is only about $15, and I will say that of the games that I tried, Super Hot VR is the one that really made me forget that I was not in reality, and it was probably the most disorienting to go in and out of. And that for me is really, like I said, it's about getting out of the real world, and Super Hot does that. There's a bit of a odd mechanic thing with throwing objects. It doesn't feel quite as good, but I have a feeling that they will improve that. Or maybe you just get used to it the more you play it. Other games on this list which are not virtual reality, because like most of you, I don't have it. So let's actually talk about games that I could play and have played. The first one is Okami. Okami is a game I played years ago on PlayStation, but I have recently picked it up again and played it on Steam, and I will say this, it is still very cute, very beautiful. It is a lot of time for the money. It's got a historic low of $10. Even if it doesn't quite reach that, keep in mind that this game is a 35 to 40 hour game, and it is, like I said, it is fun, it is beautiful, it has a great story, and it's going to make you feel a bit like you're not in this world, which, like I said, that's kind of what I'm going for here. Next on the list would be Dead Rising. Dead Rising is a zombie game where you are trying to escape the mall. You only have a few days to do it. It's a short game. You can use so many things around you throughout the mall as weapons. You can throw CDs, you can roll bowling balls and knock zombies over with a great sound effect. You can put buckets on their head. The game starts off at a relatively easy level, but by day 6, it's a real struggle. I find it to be a really fun game. I think that if you like zombie games and if you want the feeling of a bit more control, I would say that it's good for that. Historic low is about $6, and I'd say it's well worth that. I have played through this one a few times, and those of you that listen to the podcast know that I'm not typically a person who plays games over and over, but this one I have. Next up I would say is Oblivion. Now Oblivion if you're getting in on this video early enough, it right now is on a very low sale of, I think the Game of the Year edition is around $6 or $7. Oblivion is like Skyrim, but to be honest, I think even though Skyrim is more polished and newer, Oblivion had a better story, a better main story. At least that's my opinion. I think no matter what price it's at, it's going to be worth it. But I would say if it's on sale and you haven't played Oblivion, play it. If you haven't played Morrowind, that's my next one that I might be playing over the summer. You could look into the bundle. They have a very nice bundle for the 3 games, Skyrim, Oblivion, and Morrowind. And I think it's around $23 or something when it goes on sale. That's pretty good. I mean, you're not going to get much better value than that. These games take so much time to play and there's such a big world for you. The tip I would give you though is remember that even if you have, say, 1 or 2 of these games, look at the bundle price, because Steam does a nice thing where even if you already own 1 or 2 of the games, it will still give you the bundle discount. So it might give you like an extra 10 to 20% discount on the 1 game that you don't have or the 2 games that you don't have. Definitely worth looking at. So always check the bundle price. I would recommend getting Game of the Year editions if you can. Next up would be a game that I played for the first time this year, even though it is a few years old and most people who wanted to play it have probably already played it. But if, like me, you have not played Prey, well, I'm here to tell you it's time to play it. Prey is fantastic. I've put about 50 hours into this game and I'm actually thinking of playing it again. There was an achievement to play as only human, and then there's an achievement to play with only like the extra mods that you do to your body. I am so looking forward to giving that another run. Prey is something that has helped me kind of for a couple weeks get through some of my rough times this year. So it's just the kind of RPG building of your character and exploring of this space station that just really makes me want to play. A cheap one on this list would be Ernog Earn Limited. Both of those start with a double U, meaning 2 U's, not a W. That's confusing. Look at the description. So, Ernog Earn Limited, historic low of $3. It is a pixel art game with lots of exploring, a kind of roguelike game with lots of puzzle elements. It's unlike anything I've really played before. You can see elements of other games in it, but it really is a unique experience. I picked this one up off of the Chrono Coin store before it went away, and I'm very glad I did. I've put in a lot of time into this game and I still haven't finished it. Reventure. Reventure is also a roguelike game, but with a bit more of a dark sense of humor, and it's just a lot of fun. There are so many crazy things you can do, and the world looks small and then it gets bigger and bigger, and there's more craziness to do. I think if you want what I would say is a 2D medieval style Stanley Parable, this is kind of it. Now, my next section, I'm going to talk about co-op games that I think are worth playing, some couch play. Especially, as I mentioned before, Steam now has the remote play together function. Cool! I haven't really used it much. I really want to use it more. This is something that has really felt missing from my gaming experience before, and I'm really hoping over the summer to give this more of a try. The first up here I will say is Don't Starve Together, but I would also recommend the original game of Don't Starve, which is by yourself. Both of these games deal with the idea of you start out with nothing and you have to try and avoid the darkness, avoid freezing to death, and of course, avoiding starving. They are fun, they are very well put together as far as the animation and the mechanics, they work very well. It's a very filling in the gaps of your own idea of how the game works and what you think is important and what you collect. You can either play the base game of Don't Starve, or what I do like is Don't Starve Together. And a great thing to do would be to play that together and kind of work out how the game works and figure those things out together. Don't Starve Together is $5, whereas Don't Starve is $2.50. I do think that there's a way that you can get these bundled. If so, that would definitely be my recommendation. Another game I'd recommend is Tabletop Simulator. Tabletop Simulator is a game where you basically can do whatever you want. There is a strong community that builds games. There are all sorts of things you can do just within the game itself. I know people who have used this for card games. People have used this for board games. People have used this for their tabletop RPG games. There's a lot you can do with this. It's got a fantastic rating on Steam for a reason. Overcooked 1. And I'm also going to say Overcooked 2. Now, Overcooked 1 is at a historic low about $4.25. 2, its historic low is $15. I have been assured by my nephew that Overcooked 2 is actually somehow amazingly better than Overcooked 1. These games are incredibly frustrating, but also incredibly fun. I would definitely trust my nephew's opinion of the game. He has spent so much time in Overcooked 1 with his friends, and if they're also playing 2 and loving it, then I think these are well worth playing with the right people. Along with that would be Head Snatchers. Head Snatchers is a very weird game. It's basically a bunch of mini games that you can play, most of which involve losing your head or stealing the other person's head. For example, to steal their head to put it through a basketball hoop, or to kick it into a soccer net, or put it into a cannon and fire it off of a pirate ship. I got this game for free. I've enjoyed playing around with it. At base, it's $15. If you have people that you're going to play this kind of game with, I think it's worth that, but obviously worth it even more if you can get it on sale. This next one is possibly a bit too on the nose, and that is Pandemic, the board game. It's a great board game. I have played this with friends, but I have also, with the Steam version, played the game by myself and worked with my own strategy with my own team to figure out how to beat the game, because when I played with other people, we kept losing. I think that it is a fantastic game, and also because of what's going on now with the pandemic, it may be a good way to explain, at least in a very basic way, why it might be so difficult to cure what's going on now. Another board game that I would recommend is Small World. Small World at its historic low is about $2. It's a fun game with lots of variety because of the different races and the different abilities they have. It has a lot of replayability, and it's really fun to play with friends. One that's kind of different than all of those would be Battle Block Theater. So if you have played Castle Crashers, you have an idea of what Battle Block Theater is. This one, however, is much more about platforming and very, very difficult platform puzzling. Well worth it. Historic low is $1.49, but I think that it's actually worth a lot more than that. It has fantastic voice work for the narration that is just really funny, and the animation is just really solid. So with both the game and the cutscenes, everything else around it, it's definitely worth playing. The last one for the co-op section is the Genesis Classics Collection. Now, I know I've talked about this before, but I want to talk about it one more time, and I think it's because now of the remote play together, it just makes the Genesis Classics so much more worthwhile. Now, it's historically had a $7.50 price, but I think 10 is much more likely this time around, but even still, that's well worth it. You get, I believe it's 50 games, so that's, that is quite a good deal. You're not going to love all of the games, but you're going to enjoy at least a bit out of a lot of them. The 3 original Sonic the Hedgehog games are worth that alone, in my opinion. But I'm also going to bring this up now because if you can't afford the whole bundle, they have a lot of games that are around $1 and will often go on sale for even cheaper than that during the sale. So you can either buy the whole bundle or you can kind of pick just the games that you want. But I will say, if you're going to get even just the 3 original Sonic games, you may as well go ahead and get the whole bundle. My last section here is going to be about free games. I know that, well, pretty much any sale, people are out of money, or maybe they don't have any to begin with. I think this year more than ever. So here is a list of some free experiences that I think are worth trying. First thing I'd like to remind you, if you happen to be a Humble Monthly subscriber, don't forget that you have access to that Humble Trove. There are tens of games in there for you to give a try. Or head over to itch.io. They also have a lot of very indie, short, free games that are worth giving a try. But ones that I've tried lately on Steam, the first one I'm going to talk about really isn't a game, it's more of a visual novel, but it's done in an interesting way that kind of needs to be done visually. It wouldn't work the same if it were a physical book, and that is called A Raven Story. One that Darren mentioned on his picks, but kind of as a side note, is Cyrano's Story. Cyrano's Story, if you want to know what Black Watchman is like to play, well, Cyrano's Story is the one for you. It's very much about searching the internet for the answers to the riddles that they're giving you. It's well worth playing. It's a much shorter version, and honestly, I think it's much more solidly put together. Gravitas. Gravitas is I think it's about 1 hour game that gives you that Portal, Talos Principle, first-person 3D puzzle feel. It is smooth, it looks beautiful, it has a bit of a story. Play Gravitas. We've talked before about Escape First. That same company has a game called Tales of Escape. Now, most of the games in it are DLC, but you can give the first one a try, which is In the Mine. So Tales of Escape Mine is free, and it'll give you a good taste for, do you like this game? And if you do, then you might want to give some of their DLC or Escape First a try. Samsara Room. This is a big one. Now, Samsara Room, we're actually going to discuss in a full episode of Filling in the Gaps later this year, but Samsara Room is free, and it's the beginning of a whole lot of free games. Cube Escape is already, I believe, free on Google Play, like a lot of them, but the collection is also coming to Steam, so be prepared for that, and a good way to be prepared for that is give Samsara Room a try first. The last one for this section is We Went Back. I'm not going to go into it too much, but I will say this. We Went Back is sci-fi horror, and it is really good. I played this and I instantly posted a review because I want people to play this game. It's an interesting little experience with a bit of puzzle, but it's really about the experience that really could only be told properly in this format. This is an experience that is best told as a game. And with that, that's my picks for the Steam Sale 2020 for the summer edition. I will encourage you, of course, to leave comments below, good deals that you have found, things that you would recommend others to buy, and I'd also recommend that you go check out my friend Darren's picks and see what he had to say. Happy shopping and happy playing.